from down below, you've got to knock out that which you are not. When you see what you are. You see, when you get up there, like Bhagavan is, you no more see what you are not. See, forget about it. Well, when you get into the self, you see you're not the body. So you don't identify with the body anymore. But the growth is not seeing yourself. The growth is not identifying with the body. I know if I move up again, I'll say the same thing. All you got to do is just see what you are. So remember that. Even in Vichara, growth is willing out that which you are not. And you go high to see what you are, so you can see that you are not the body-mind, and you can will it out. You drop it so easily when you see what you are. When you see what you are, there's no doubt whatsoever that you're this limited clump of garbage, clay, mud, phlegm, excrement. There's no doubt about it. So it seems automatic. When you see what you are, you automatically see what you're not. This body is the opposite extreme of what you are. You can't be any more limited than a physical body. It's the other extreme end of your infinite beingness. This is one step lower than being a human physical body, and it's not too much lower, not being an animal physical body. The physical body is the bottom end, the opposite end of infinity. And this is what you hold on to for dear life. It's silly. So again, the way should be so clear to you. The only growth is dropping what you are not. Dropping identification with the body-mind. And everything else is just aids to do that. Any questions? And the whole subject summed up is, thou art that. Drop all these thoughts to the contrary. What remains over is the infinite you. Isn't that difficult? Isn't that mystical? To keep yourself from realizing it, you read about it instead of realizing it. Reading is not doing you any good. I really believe it's holding you back if you read. You've heard me say that it's as difficult for you to be yourself as it is for you to be a female. That's true. But that's something you ought to work on. Until you see it. That's where effortlessness fits in. It takes as much effort for you to be yourself as it does for you now to be a female. So where's all the effort?
I say the bait should be not God, but happiness. Because everyone, I think, is more or less consciously seeking it. And actually, anyone seeking happiness is seeking their very own self. Looking for it externally where it isn't. And feeling their self only momentarily when they stop thinking. The only time you feel the self is when you stop thinking. So thinking covers over the self. Thinking covers over happiness. That's why when the desires are fulfilled, the thoughts stop. We're not striving for it anymore, and we're happy. But it isn't the attaining of the thing that causes the happiness. It's the stopping of the thinking of how to get it. That stops the thinking and allows the self to be, and that's what happiness is. It's a self-meaning, more or less. Renunciation. True renunciation is in the mind, and is neither achieved by physical renunciation nor impeded by the lack of it. That's what we said, that's what Havananda said, right? In the beginning. It's not taking the world as real, nor running away from the world. A renunciate knows that there is no happiness in the world in being. True renunciation is in the mind, and is neither achieved by physical renunciation, nor impeded by the lack of physical renunciation. A renunciate knows that there is no happiness in the world, in people or things, that the only happiness is in beingness, being the self that we are. He accepts all and everything as they are, resists nothing, covets nothing. He is therefore at peace, in equipoise, tranquil and serene, as he is desireless and harmonizes all conflict. Summed up, renunciation is giving up of the ego. The continuous method is daily letting go of the ego and daily being more in the consciousness of the self. True renunciation is of desire, passions, and attachments. This will expand one's love to embrace his own family, all people, the whole world. It is the divesting of the smaller to merge into the all. It is the letting go of the lesser for the greater. Give up I and mine rather than my possessions, and all is given up in one stroke, and the very seed of possessiveness is destroyed. One renounces mentally, not by location. The only real renouncing is in the mind. Renunciation is not a withdrawal, but is a widening of love. Renunciation is renouncing desire, passions, and attachments. It is important for people to know that they can renounce in the world. Renouncing in the world, because of the state of beingness today, is far more difficult than renouncing when one is away from the world. It is far easier to renounce in isolation than it is in the world. This is getting rougher and rougher. Rare is the individual who can renounce while remaining in the world. It takes a very advanced being to be able to do that. Because we're so swamped by the accumulated tendencies of the past, and we are so much operating on automatic control, being automated by these past tendencies, that we very easily slip into the stream of the world and are actually sunk by it. So even though it's not necessary to isolate, it's very, very helpful and is needed by almost everyone. Only because the ego habit is so strong. And this is borne out by the number of disciples who remained faithful, like in Yukteswar's lifetime. There's only 2 who remained devoted up until the end, right? The tendencies today are so strong. The past tendencies, the vasanas, the past habits of thoughts are so strong that rare is the individual who could make it on his own in the world, or even make it in the world after leaving an ashram. But it can be done, but it's rare. Therefore, it's advisable to isolate, as Ramakrishna said, and then when you're strong enough so that you don't sink, then go into the world. You see, he had to take even his 12 disciples, he had to take them out of the world and train them first, so that they could go into the world and not be caught up in it. Again, I'm emphasizing how difficult it is today because of the Kali Yuga. So I think we're covered from all sides. First, renunciation is renouncing the ego. That can be done in the world or out of the world. It can be done by a householder or by a monk. It's far more difficult for a householder because he's in that dangerous situation where he can sink. I guess all in all, the very best way is to isolate for periods of a time, go back into the world, out of the world, back into it, in and out. I think is the very fastest means of growth. There's hardly anyone who, of all the people who have been listening to me and hearing me say all these things, who hasn't sunk. Sooner or later they seem to sort of feel their own strength, and then they decide, well, I'm going to use this in the world. And this is where they sink. It's impossible to use this in the world. Once you start trying to use it in the world is real. Well, make life better. Get more things. Get more help. Help the others to know this. Things like that. So straight and narrow is the path, like a razor's edge. This narrower path is a razor's edge, and the moment you step off it, you fall. I guess now I'm emphasizing how important it is to keep up the vigilance. Every day. You let it go for 1 or 2 days. However, no effort we make is ever lost. All the effort we make is moving us in the right direction. But the question is, when do you want to make it? This lifetime or several lifetimes from now? If you want to make it this lifetime, it has to be all out. But each step path shows you the way. See, when you drop into samadhi, you begin to get your realizations. Everyone thinks, oh boy, that's samadhi, that's it. That's the beginning. See, the ego elimination and quieting the mind go hand in hand. It's the ego that creates all the thoughts. Every thought is to satisfy the ego. So the more you eliminate the ego, the more you eliminate thinking. And when you do it enough so that the mind can remain quiet, at least at moments, that moment is samadhi. And it can be described in words what the feeling is like. They call it absorption. You're thinking on something, what is the world? You keep thinking and thinking, and all other thoughts drop away. And as thoughts drop away, you lose awareness of the world around you. As you keep thinking on it, then you lose awareness of your own body. You forget your body, you forget yourself. And then when you forget the world, you forget yourself, the only thing in mind is that one single thought. And that's the only thing existing in the universe at that moment, is that one thought. And since there's only the thought, you are it, is the way it seems, that there's only a single thought in this universe. And when you hit that point, the answer is there. You come out of it in a state of ecstasy. You're so high. You're also ego-elated because you got a tremendous answer. But it encourages one to do it again and again until all the answers are gotten. And as you get each answer, you're moving closer to the fullest answer to the question, who am I? What am I? Now, to get to the state of samadhi takes that momentum that I talk about. It has to be daily, every day. And we have to want this more than we want anything else. We have to want this meditation, this directing of the mind, more than anything else. It gets to be a real delight. You enjoy it more than anything else because you're getting quieter. That's the quietness of mind that gives us happiness and joy. So when you reach a certain point, I called it getting over the hump. When meditation is more enjoyable than anything else, then we're over the hump. Then we can get this momentum going. We meditate enough so that we lose consciousness of the world in our body, and then we're in samadhi. We're in a state of absorption where the thinker and the thought become one. And then the answer is there. And that wipes out tremendous amounts of false knowledge of the ego. It wipes out tremendous chunks of ego. And the more ego we wipe out, the deeper we can go into quieting of the mind the next time. When the momentum gets started, never let go until you go all the way. So there's just no more ego left. Because if you stop at any time, you'll be sucked back into the world by the amount of ego that's left. Or if you're extremely high and you do it, you'll get sucked into being a ruler of a world or even a universe. Some of Patanjali talks about this in his book. You go so high and leave a little ego left, then you get to be ruler of a world or a solar system or something like that. And then it's going to take you, in terms of our time, millions and maybe billions of years to go the rest of the way. The place you can go fastest is right here. The higher you go, the slower the rate of growth. Because this is the severest of prodding we get right here in this life that we're in. It's the most difficult. See, the higher you go, the easier things get. The more everything is okay. The less need there is to grow. And this is the trouble in the astral world. It's such a delightful world. And very few people there grow. They come back here and do their growing, but things are not so delightful. In fact, to say it's not coming from the things, it's coming from the stilling of the thoughts of desire for the things. The thoughts are quieted, the mind's quieted, and the self is right there. The self is always there. It's perfect, it's infinite, here and now. You can't change that. The only thing we can change are the concepts to the contrary. Concepts of ego are the concepts to the contrary. So you gotta be careful, you can get caught up in that thing. At the beginning it's alright. It gives you encouragement. You master the world. But you got to be careful that you don't get caught up in trying to remain a master of the world to the degree that your ego is let go of. Love is something you can't turn on, nor can you turn it off. It is what it is. It's according to your state of beingness. What the world calls love is other than what we're talking about. Your capacity to love, your level of love, inwardly is the same all the time. But at one moment you let it out more than at another moment. The amount that you have, you can only let out to the degree that you have it. But it always feels high because it's your highest capacity to love. In a high state of love, you love everyone equally, whether they are your own family, your own children, or strangers. The love is exactly equal. It's another way to tell the high state of love. But only to the degree we have it can we express it. And when we're feeling it at our highest point, that's always high to us because that's the highest point we know. But you get into a state of ecstasy where it's overwhelming at times. It gets to be this ever-new joy welling up every moment. And you reach a point where you become incapacitated by it. Then you rise above that by it dropping into a state of deep, very profound peace. What was a sort of an excitement thing turns out to be a serenity thing. And that's the peace that passeth all understanding. It's a peace that can never be perturbed by anything. Even if you see a bullet coming at you, it wouldn't disturb it one iota. So remember, you can use everything that's happening in the world to grow by. It's an excellent chance to undo a lot of ego. Now, the way you fortify yourself is to keep the practice is going of meditating every night, every morning. Never ever let go. You must withdraw it when you're in the city, every night and every morning. And gather yourself in to get the necessary power